was explosive. Very explosive. You have returned to my now Monday release of Moriarty the Patriot. This week's episode was the second part of The Scarlet Eyes. Our open was just a reiteration about our class system. It did seem that it was just the same scene from the end of episode 2. Can't complain, because I've got a lot more to talk about this episode. That was our little opening before it rolls into credits. Quickly, just going to say, I am a wee bit sick, so if my voice sounds awful, I am so sorry. I do have a habit of getting the occasional bout of tonsillitis. I'm just suffering from it at the moment, so if I sound a bit weird, I am so sorry. But I am back by unpopular demand to put on my dear stalker. Get ready to break down what we have just seen, because there is a lot going on. And there's a lot going on history-wise, there's a lot going on tricks up your sleeve, editing filter-wise, which I'm going to cover really quickly. And there's a lot just going on story and plot-wise. So lots to talk about. This is definitely the anime recording every week that takes the longest. My notes tend to... But I'm on 5 pages. The average is about 3, so we're a couple of pages over. Last week's was huge. I do want to apologise for how much I went off tangent last week. There were 7 pages of notes, and it just kept on going. I'm not breaking down the OP or ED this episode, so hopefully this is going to be quicker. Last week's recording took me an hour. I essentially did 2 lots of recording and completely forgot that I didn't actually give you guys the title of the graveyards in the second recording, which is the one I used. To quickly just kind of cover up my mistake there, the big magnificent 7, which are the 7 graveyards that the Victorians opened to solve the overcrowding issues, as the graveyards within London's inner state, the central London itself, they were full. So they needed to sort their overcrowding issues out. So that's just me quickly just going back and touching that back up. So they're called the Magnificent 7. So if anyone ever says that to you, if you're in London, it's just they're talking about the 7 cemeteries. Let's go, because I've got a lot to say. This week's episode, opening again on St. Paul's and giving us Big Ben to chime in, just for extra Britishness, of course. Doubling down on 2 icons there. We're kind of jumping back. Even though last week's episode end scene was us seeing them emerging from the flames, which is kind of the end of this sequence anyway. So we kind of know where we're going because of that last section. To be fair, they could have probably cut out that last sequence and giving it this week, it probably would have had a bit more impact. I guess knowing where it was going kind of put me on the same page as the guys themselves, because we know what it's building up to. Let's cut back to Albert to bring in Lewis and William home. We meet Simon again. Did we miss Simon? No, not really. We didn't miss him. Simon telling the boys that they must go round the back. The back entrance for any big stately house was just for the servants only. I think you'd normally go through the kitchens. He is quickly berated for his rude treatment of family members by Albert, where we get a nice parlour shot. I can't tell you what biscuits they are. They're square. I have quickly checked the one biscuit I thought it would be, and it's not. I initially thought these biscuits were nice biscuits, but nice, the company themselves, 1904. So a little bit later than the time period we're dealing with. I think we're dealing with about 1860 at best in this sequence. I think the later episodes are probably the 1890s, so maybe getting closer to that time, but not quite. So we do see them drinking tea, though. We are in the parlour where we have Lord and Lady Moriarty, getting quite heated as Lady Moriarty is very angry about them adopting 2 children. You know, one was bad enough, but 2 orphans, heaven forbid. And Lewis is sick. Oh my goodness. I don't want any of my children to catch that. If you remember from last episode, my thesis, my big actual thesis, ignoring the graveyard thing, it is actually in early modern medicine. A little bit more up my street when I'm talking about medication. To Lord Moriarty getting his praises from his Duchess friend. The reason why he decided to be charitable in the first place. I hate this guy. The Duchess is holding another one of her magnificent parties where Lord Moriarty is telling her that I am providing an operation for Lewis because he is sick. This operation isn't going to be cheap. The amount of fake on this section where the Lord Moriarty talks about how hard Lewis has had it in his life and I just want him to recover, get his strength back. And it's like, you are so fake. Dude, I hate you. He's just doing it for status. He's doing it to impress the Duchess because the Duchess is higher up than him. He's trying to get on good favours with her. We now cut to poor Lewis having a attack or an episode. Manga readers probably know what this is. I've got a few hints and guesses of what he might be suffering with, especially the fact that they do fix it. So it rules out things like tuberculosis. I don't think that they would have had a cure for it at this period of time. But I could be wrong on this one. This one I'm not 100% on just because I don't have enough information on it. Another quick note, the boys are staying in an attic room. The attic room is for servants. I have stayed in a big stately manor like this before, and I was in an attic room, so I was probably where the servants would have been sleeping. So my room looked exactly like this. He does seem to have episodes where he has coughing fits. He could have asthma. My asthma plagues me in episodes. To be fair, he's been out in the cold. He's been out living in the smog. The pollution in London at this period of time, it is the middle of the Industrial Revolution. There is smog everywhere. We've seen a lot of the smog in many of these wider shots that they've been giving us, which gives us the feeling and the world building. It could be any of the 3 things I've covered. It could be something else completely different. But that was me having some fun, stabbing in the dark what I think it could possibly be. You guys who have read the actual manga, if you do know what it is, feel free to share it, because I don't think we're going to go back to it now that Lewis has been cured. So I don't mind if you guys tell me at this point. Let's continue. Master William, who my dislike for this kid got worse and worse. I said right at the beginning of episode 1, we are following the villain, but there are going to be times when you yourself feel yourself supporting the villains. I kind of did when it came to Master William. Master William asks poor Lewis to make him some tea. He decides, screw it, I'm going to pour this tea all over the floor because you are too lowly and I do not want to drink it because blah, 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 blah. I thought he was going to splash Lewis with the hot water. I'm kind of thankful he dropped it on the floor, but I did that kind of little moment where I was like, is he going to throw it over him? Because that's going to be hot. But then I remember we saw adult Lewis in the episode 1. So I was like, no, he hasn't got scolds like that. The carpet is now stained thanks to you, where he orders him to lick it clean because sadist. Where, thankfully, William James Moriarty, so I'm calling them Master William and William James, he stands up for Lewis. This annoys Master William because, obviously, he wanted to see Lewis lick it clean. He tells William, you need to discipline Lewis, and he throws him the fork, where he's like, you can use this. Obviously, he's hoping that William will turn around and stab Lewis. Not everybody's like you, dude. Not everybody is like you, Master William. We're not all sadists. Would I call adult William James Moriarty a sadist? Maybe not to the same degree. William struck the entire room where he stabs his own hand, which just shocks Master William into silence. Food, stop. Because thank you to my amazing fans who have pointed out that it didn't even cross my brain that to many of the people who are going to be listening to my videos that you may not be based in the UK. To me, the food just struck me as boring English food. I would normally talk about ramen because Asian food is new to me. It's amazing. I love it. My own English food, I just didn't even think to stop. We're stopping on the food tour for a moment, guys. Stopping on the food tour for some cream tea. Yes, Master William is eating a scone. So you'll see he has a scone on the plate. I'll put the picture up hopefully here. I will also give you a nice picture in a minute of the proper way of doing it because he is missing something from this collection. He has a scone and he's got some clotted cream on the side and he's got the tea. He has 3 out of the 4 things that he needs for a cream tea. I'm going to put this amazing sexy picture now up. Look at this sexy picture. Look how sexy it looks. You need jam. I'm sorry, you need some jam. The best cream tea I have ever had was down in Torquay, I believe. Or was I in Plymouth? I do believe that the Cornish cream is better, so I'm going to up for Cornwall here. The best place to have a cream tea is definitely going to be down south. Ice cream as well. Cornish ice cream. Best place to have it. What I normally say is, it is a scone until I have eaten it, and then it is gone. Bad joke. I'm sorry. I'll show myself out. Right, let's go back to Albert, who is apologising because he's found William in the state. And William tells him, you have to leave or you're going to be found out by the lordship. We then cut to Lewis asking why Albert is inviting him here. What does he want? Is it just his... Here we go, guys. Aristocratic obligation. There's a lot of big words in this episode. And he says, is it maybe a sympathy to my illness? I don't think so, my dear boy. And he asks him, what does he want in return? Because obviously, he's a bit mature here. He knows that you don't get something for nothing. William James Moriarty says, I did say initially last episode, I hope we don't see Master William again. And he came back this episode, and I was like, damn it, he's back. We get to call Master William and William James just for a little bit longer until we get to adult Moriarty, when I'll be calling him just William Moriarty, but we're not quite there yet. We've still got another William to contend with. William James says, let's wait a little longer to see what it is that he seeks. But he does say, I figured it out. He already knows what he wants. He can read Albert like an open book, and he's a genius. So let's go back to Albert now, where we see Albert looking at some family portraits. We see this dark mold or disease start to creep in. So whenever he looks at his own family, he just sees this mold, this disease, this fester. We're going to be taking a stop on the food tour again if you get hungry, guys. We're cutting now to breakfast with the Moriartys. No orphans invited. You can see our waiting staff silently waiting upon the family if needed. They say nothing, they'll wait there until the family is finished. Simon is, of course, in the corner. Simon's duty would be to oversee the room. So he oversees those maids and makes sure that they're doing their job properly. So let's cut to them stating that Master William is to enroll at Eton. I think Eton's famous enough. It's a very famous school in London. You have to be pretty privileged to go there. Master William being a twat. Can I say twat? Can I say twat? I hope so. Where he is being a knob. There we go, a knob. He says, I can't concentrate with the two lowly creatures. Mother Moriarty. I want to call her Mother Moriarty. She's like, this has gone on far too long. Let's just throw them out. She also gives us quick information that Lewis is now better. So Lewis is no longer going to be having any illness. So it's nice to know that our boy is healthy again. Where the Lord's like, no, I can't because I'll be the one taking the brunt of it. Where she then says, if only they would become a nuisance to the police, then we have a reason to cast them aside. Which gives our little sadist a bit of an idea, who is cutting his egg open in a very sadistic manner. How sadistic of him. And we're going to quickly take another pit stop on the food train. English food train has pulled into the English breakfast station. I've got two different pictures here because they showed the egg scene and then they showed a different scene later on. It's the same food. There's quite a few different elements to an English breakfast. I only saw a few initially. We see on the first shot, Knob is opening his egg. We've got a fried egg and we can see some bacon in the background. Fried egg, or you can have it scrambled. The egg is basically down to how you would prefer it. You can have a poached egg if you really want. Fried egg tends to be the more traditional way of doing it. In the next scene, here, hope editing Becca's doing her duty. We can see some blood pudding, some mushrooms, and some baked beans. Woohoo for the baked beans. On the side, we see bread. Most of the time, if bread is served with an English breakfast, it is fried bread, and it is heavy. In my family, we used to eat it around Christmas, or we would eat it if we were going mountain walking when we took holidays to Scotland. We would have it if we were doing a lot of exercise. It is a very heavy breakfast. There's a lot, especially if you're doing it the traditional way. There's a lot of oil in the dish. It's quite oily. So a pretty unhealthy breakfast overall. I've got a picture now of a modern one. The bits we were missing from the actual anime, we're missing a tomato, the sausages. Again, you can add and take elements. I don't like tomatoes, so I don't have that. I don't also like baked beans. I know, for shame, not very British of me. Those are the two elements I take out. I'll mash potato and fry it, so I got a fried mashed potato. Adding to the unhealthiness as well. You can add anything to the dish essentially, but the one in front of you on the screen is traditional. I don't like blood pudding. I just said that I don't like three of the elements going on here. I'm very un-British in that sense. But it is a heavy dish. So if you do come to the UK and you are gonna eat it and try it as a tourist, make sure you walk it off. You are gonna need to do a lot of walking. I can recommend a really nice river walk which goes either side of the Thames. It's about 13 miles though. It will definitely wear you out, but you'll get some great sightseeing going on and you'll definitely wear off that breakfast. Let's continue now, pulling out the station, continuing on. We are going back to Lord Moriarty, who asks William, have you done something very nice or a good deed for a peddler? Because a peddler thanked me recently as I was getting into my coach. Of course, he's referring to William James, the nice one. The nice grey area Moriarty. I feel bad saying that because he's technically the villain. The nicer of the two evils going on. Where, of course, Master William is like, no, of course I would not. They're sewer rats, why would I? We see the Lord Moriarty agreeing. In case you were warming to this guy, he's still an a-hole. Master William then goes, my birthday's coming up. It's the same day as Easter. Oh, guys! Oh my goodness, guys! What happened on Easter? Jesus resurrects from the dead, right? He comes back. What happens in the end? William James Moriarty is resurrected as a different Moriarty. Ah! Magic! Where he's like, I want to throw a party, where Lord Moriarty tells him you can't invite the Kimbolton children because they're having financial difficulty. In case you guys needed any more reasons to hate this man, we get a close-up now of Albert, and I'm going to start talking about the scene as a whole from an editor point of view. There's a lot of good editing techniques going on that I'm starting to pick up on. I like to break down anime like this. The scene grows darker. The scene around him is playing out, but as the sound starts to distort, it's showing Albert disconnecting. He's got a disconnect from what's going on around him. Everything's going on around him, but he doesn't feel connected. Everything going on around him is playing by as he just kind of sits there letting it play out, where he abruptly stands up, doesn't say anything, and he walks out. He says, I don't want to look at them, I don't want to hear them. And all he can see, as we see around him, is that this mold, this disease, this fester is creeping in around him. And he's got this feeling of sinking into it. We get this nice imagery of him sinking as he looks at his feet and he sinks into this fester where he feels helpless. This episode, obviously this episode's been cut in two. It's a very Albert focused episode. We're seeing Lewis and William James's past through his eyes. We almost seem to be following Albert as our main character for these two episodes. Albert recalls some of his past. It's always been like this. He sees the bright lights. He says it's all about status. It's all about status. I do like this quote where he goes, you look up in envy and you look down on others in scorn. I like that quote. I can't make it into the thumbnail. It's a bit too long. He says, why is this world twisted? And then he says, what would you do? A screen cut of William James by the altar. I think this is very important to know that we keep flashing back to that altar scene. And I did say last week, I think there's some religious iconology being hinted at. This ideology that William has been preaching that Albert is connecting to. So when he recalls William James's face, he sees it at the altar. He sees this holy yellow light. I know initially I tell you guys, if you ever see a yellow filter over a scene, it normally means it's the past. Yes, this was the past, but this has only been like a few months at most. I don't think they're using the yellow in the same way. And it doesn't seem to be the same kind of yellow they'd use, like a sepia. To Albert, William James Moriarty is appearing almost as a god to him, as an idol, as someone to look up to with an ideology that he himself relates to. Now, let's go into more editing. I can't tell you guys how much I love breaking down these episodes. I really do. I'm so thankful that there is an anime this season airing that allows you to break it down style-wise, but history-wise as well, because I do have a history degree. And I used to apologise constantly in all my travel videos because I'd turn it into a history video and nobody liked it. But you guys appreciate my history breakdown, so I love you guys for that. And you guys let me be me. Let's cut to a beautiful red sky shot now. I gotta say, I love the way this happens. So we see clouds, and then these clouds pull away to reveal they're like curtains opening on the stage. We're about to see this act befalling the stage. So the clouds pull away like curtains to reveal a blood red moon. And this moon is big. The tower in front, the church tower in front, is underexposed. So it's just a shadow. You can see it's a church tower, and we can hear it because I think it bells as well. But it is so visually stunning. I love it. What did I tell you guys about red? Oh, it's always red. I always find myself picking out on that one colour in every episode. It's red. It is danger. It is a warning. It is a blood moon. Blood is about to be spilled. I also forgot to mention something in the first ever episode. Moriarty looking out over, whilst the man was killing the Duke, we saw red sky in the morning. In the UK, I don't know if this is the same anywhere else. You guys might have a different take. We have a saying that red sky in the morning is shepherd's warning. Red sky at night, shepherd's delight. Normally, if you see a red sky in the morning, there's going to be turbulent weather. It normally warns that the day is going to be quite bumpy. If you see a nice red sky at night, you're going to have a calm night. There you go. I don't know why I told you that. It felt like it tied into episode 1 and I didn't pick up on it, so I feel bad. Let's now cut to the main event. Let's now stand on stage. The actors are in place. Let us begin with this spectacle upon the stage. Master William is caught trying to set up the brothers for stealing. He is trying to put the family silverware in their drawers. The family silverware would be expensive. Quickly making a very tangent here, which is a little bit off kilter. Talking about John Valjean from Les Miserables very quickly. He is given the silverware because the silverware is worth the most. It will give him money. So when he's at the priest's house, he is given the silverware. I think it's candlesticks or something. He gives him the candlesticks. Family silver is worth a lot of money. And they're heavy as well. Very heavy. It's, generally, the butler would probably have a very good way of dealing with the silver to get all the shines out. That's Simon's job, of course. And then William walks in. He tells Master William, thank God you saved me the trouble of moving your body. This is when it all starts to go down. This entire scene is washed in red. And it's got a wash going on. It's dangerous. Blood's about to happen. This whole scene is a flashing warning. To be fair, it's a bit on the nose, but I do love how they do it. It's a visual warning for you guys watching. You know something's going down. Things are about to happen. You also feel a little bit nervous because the lighting feels weird. The lighting doesn't look right. William Moriarty breaks the stool on the floor and he takes a stake of wood, where William's like, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to kill me? He says, no, I'm going to give it to Albert. And Albert walks in with Lewis. Normally it's Lewis's role to hold a knife, but this time Lewis is just escorting Albert. He gives it to Albert. I also put a little side note because I've got so many notes floating around. Did you notice that Moriarty never gets his hands dirty? He always sets up the stage for somebody else. So Moriarty isn't the one who kills William. He does help set up the plan and he blows up the mansion as well. It's his part of his plan. At the moment, for the 3 episodes we've seen, his hands aren't dirty. He is enabling others to do what they want. He's an enabler. He hasn't actually got his hands dirty yet. When you see Lewis, the little light he's holding is red. We get a quick intersect with some beautiful yellow light. It's that scene where he's asking William for advice. He's like, I want you to advise me. And he's like, that's fine, I'm a consultant. He says the courage must come from you. Where we cut now to Master William holding a fork at the ready to attack. But he plays dumb because he's like, what are you about to do? And Albert's like, what are you about to do? And he points to the fork where he's like, oh, this is nothing. William plays dumb and he's all like, but we're brothers and we share the same blood. And Albert starts to walk forward very slowly. The fact that we share blood, I'm sick of it. I hate it. And I hold the whole society in contempt. He's like, I'm going to change it. I don't need any people like you in my world. And as he's looking at Master William, that fester, that mold is creeping in. And he stabs him. I must admit, I wasn't quite sure at first if he would have the guts to do it. But so far, all we've really seen of Albert is he's a very nice character. He's very different. He's got those, like I said last week, he's got very revolutionary views on the world. If anything, he's probably the most good out of the 3 if I had to put them on a scale. I probably will at the end. Once this all finishes airing as an anime, I'm going to get a chart. I'm going to use the chart that I used for Elena, the chart with the morally grey, the good, the chaotic. And I'm going to see if I can justify where all 3 of them goes on the chart. So if you guys would like to see that episode done, you've got to make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to take a little break before I go on to the end. Make sure you hit that button. These videos take about 5 hours to do on a whole. Make sure you are subscribed. As well, if you're not subscribed, you might not know when other videos go up. I will also be doing some videos with some other YouTubers coming up, but you need to be subscribed for those, and I'm not going to tell anybody about them because if you're subscribed, you'll get the notification. Make sure you ring the bell as well. So let's now continue onwards. So back to the editing standpoint again. As soon as he stabs him with the stake, did you notice the red light vanish, guys? Did you notice it vanish? It's gone. As soon as he crumples to the floor, we're back to this kind of mutable bluish grey filter. This is so clever. There's probably more animes which have done it, but nothing coming to my brain right at this very minute. Maybe Steins Gate, which is just as clever with its contrasts. The setting and the contrast on filters itself, just focusing on filters as a whole, I don't think there's any other animes that jump to mind that are as clever. Steins Gate gets a pass because I love it to pieces, and I do want to go through that at some point with the breakdown like this, with actual stylizing. Let's continue. As soon as Albert has done the deed, the red light has lifted. The rot is no longer visible. He can't see it anymore. It's gone. William James is like, now you have shown me your resolution. And he walks over to Master William and he's like, oh, don't pull out that stake because you're going to bleed out. I need you to be alive for a little while longer. He needs Master William's lungs to be filled with smoke. If there was a coroner report, we need that report to say death by inhalation of smoke. We don't need it to say possible murder. This is all very clever. We're going to go into how clever this man is now. We want this murder to be covered up, to brushed off as an accident. This is how clever it is. We get a bit more of that famous colour popping, which I loved to bits, when we have a close-up of Mr. William James Moriarty. To be fair now, I'm going to call him William Moriarty because Master William is now dead. We get a colour pop of his eyes, and normally it's just to make him look a bit more evil, that make the eyes stand out. Very easy when your character has actually got red eyes, to be fair. The moon is no longer red. It's just blue-grey. It's almost back to the colour it should be. I almost want to think that it's a bit like Albert, who had that throbbing in his head. He was getting angry and angry. The red was there and he had to do what he needed to do. But now that red has lifted. Now he's going to see a little bit clearer. Now, This is it. We are now setting up the stage. We need to leave no clues. We need to make this look like an accident. We don't want anybody going, there could be a case here, which I bet is going to come back at some point. I just feel it in my bones. If there's ever going to be a place where maybe even Sherlock comes in and he works it all out, I think this will be the case. We see them setting up the fire, getting ready to see them setting everything up to make it look like this fire was an accident, nothing more. That fires do even occur in London. Occasionally, but probably not as much as they did back in the 16th century, they do still occur. Also, quick note to you guys, did you know that there was actually no fire brigade in London until the 1655, after our Great Fire of London? We see Albert and Lewis, they are turning on the gas lighting. So all the lights in this house are gaslit. This is my very bad mechanics here. There's a little tiny ring which you turn. Inside is a pipe. It pipes up gas so you can light it at the other end. They're opening these valves, essentially. Best way I can say it without being a mechanic. Yes! We then see the most clever part of the entire lot. We see William setting up the main event. He has a string attached to I'm going to say it's a matchlock. It does look like a matchlock because it's got the little hammer on top. He sets it up to a matchlock rifle where it's attached to the clock. So as soon as the clock pulls down to ring on the hour, it's going to trigger this matchlock to spark, because that's how they work. They create a spark to fire the gun. There's probably no bullet in there. It's still going to spark. One spark that is needed to light up the gas that is filling the house. Magic. Easy peasy, right? The three of them hide in the wine cellar, as he does say it's fairly airtight down here, whilst the entire manor starts to fill with gas. The clock then chimes and triggers the explosion, and kaboom! No more house. All gone. Also, quick cut to the moon again. So we get 3 stages of the moon this time. The moon is now hidden, completely hidden under the clouds, because the clouds are covering up the truth. They are hiding something. There's a cover-up going on. The moon in the sky, they use it in this anime so well. It reflects the situation that's on the screen. Also, if you guys want to take some of this logic to other animes, just be careful, because some animes just make it for the fun of it. Not all animes are this in-depth. If you suddenly see a red sky on, I don't know, whatever anime you're watching, don't just go, oh my god, there's going to be a murder, and get sad when there isn't. This anime has been written to be the way it is. It's a very in-depth anime. So this anime works like this, so we can actually break it down like this. As the boys open to see the hell around them, the fresh new burning hell, Lewis picks up a burning bit of wood and he burns himself. The first time I think we see William show genuine concern. The only time we ever see him show genuine concern is towards his brother Lewis. Lewis is hurting and we actually see him run to him, which is quite nice. To get 100% outcome that you're after, I'm going to hurt myself, because the adults will never doubt a child if they're injured and burnt as well. This is Lewis's recompense to them both. You saved me from my illness, so this is my proof of my resolve. The 3 of us will now go on living together. We quickly cut again to a yellow scene, probably one of the last ones we get now, where Albert says, my authority plus your brain, I'm going to give you my standing. I'm going to give you my future, my life. He basically says, this is it. From now on, I'm pledging myself to you. We cut to a painting of Lord Moriarty burning up. Rest in peace. That's it. Done. I don't really need to say anything more. He's gone. Where we see the London Fire Brigade. Woohoo! I've got some really cool pictures of the actual London Fire Brigade. These images I have just done a very quick Google search. I don't own them. If I had more time and the world wasn't as bad as it was, I would be able to go to the archives, get pictures and stuff. I can't. We get the nice scene of the London Fire Brigade. I just want to give them a good credit, because the uniform does look on point from what I'm seeing, and the hoses as well. Got the pictures up. You guys can see for yourself how the likeness is. I've just got to say, top-notch credit to the guys who have actually worked on this. The studio, the art team, everything. They've definitely done their research. I haven't really found much to critique, in a sense. Plus, I'm so impressed with the anime. I'm probably not looking for the critiques right now. There's nothing standing out that is wrong. Everything looks to the period. The uniform looks to the period. I'm hoping we get to see some police at some point, because we might get to see those guys, and that's going to be fun, because they have really cool uniforms too. The 3 emerge from the fire. We've already seen this scene, essentially. The phoenix rising from the flames. They are emerging from hell, reborn. Albert James Moriarty says, these are my brothers, William and Lewis. They are reborn as brothers from the fires of hell. They are together, comrades together. They emerge. End of that sequence, where we now cut to the very beginning sequence. I hoped we'd return to it. I was thinking about this earlier, where we almost didn't need the earlier sequence from last episode. Initially, I was like, the point of this scene is just to show that William's good with gambling, and that's how smart he is, and he can do that, and thus making that reference. Well, they actually showed the same thing with him as a kid. Whether they're just showing that from a young age he was smart we already kind of knew that anyway. To be fair, it's probably the only critique I can say is that we probably didn't need that scene, but the fact that we've come back to that scene is, I forgive you. I'll forgive you for that, to be fair. We come back to the scene when we're on the train, and it seems that Moriarty has been telling his life story to the gentleman that he helped with the gambling. We cut in on him finishing the story. He says that, now we've got no relatives. Over the years that as brothers, we've had to lean on one another. I'm sorry for bringing up his bad memories, but you seem to have the perfect household. It's warm, a stately father, a warm-hearted mother. Your brothers that all seem to get along, the perfect family. Of course, this is all lies, and we end on that Moriarty smirk. It's replaced the Mugen smirk from last season. If you followed me last season and you have come across, thank you for being loyal and coming across. Definitely appreciate that. You remember that we had the Park Mugen smirk being replaced this season as the William James Moriarty smirk. The end scene is setting us up for next week's episode. All I've really got from the quick end scene, it's going to be titled A Rare Breed. We see somebody cutting open a blood orange. It's definitely a blood orange and it's been cut in half. Blood oranges are very, very dark inside. That's the only thing I really got with that. Maybe it's telling us that there's bloodshed coming our way. We see Moriarty taking on another case in Durham. So we're going up north. I believe that Moriarty was heading up north on the train, perhaps. We will find out next episode. I can't wait. Hopefully you guys can't wait as well. Initial thoughts on the episode, I really like it. I think from a style standpoint it works. History standpoint, I got very excited halfway through. It was a thrilling episode. It's a nice change because last episode was quite slow. This episode started slow and it ends on a bang, a literal bang. I have had absolute fun breaking this anime down. Hopefully you guys too have had fun listening to my breakdowns. The main purpose of my breakdowns is to say what I feel, essentially highlight what I think works, what I really liked, what I didn't like. To be fair, there's not a great deal of the didn't like things. And as well, if I see something that I feel like I can give some more information on, like the food or the brigades and just little bits like the parlour stuff, that's my point. If I can just say, hey, this is this, just in case you didn't see it, I'm looking at different things with an English eye than you guys who are watching this and you maybe have never even set foot in the UK. So I am very excited. We are cleared for 24 episodes. I do believe we will be taking a break. They have definitely cleared season 2, so I'm very excited for that. So maybe even in the breakdown, I might even be able to do that morality chart after episode 12 finishes airing. So after season 1, if you guys pester me enough and I get enough upvotes for it, of course I need those upvotes because that helps me know what works and what doesn't. I have noticed there is a video not Moriarty related that has got a lot of downvotes. I need to go back to that video, see where I've gone wrong. Hopefully it's something I can fix. Trying to learn as a channel. There's only 153 of us, so our ramen bowl is getting bigger. I want to view that everybody who joins the Clockwork Dandy Noodles channel is a ramen. You're a piece of ramen. And I love every one of you. You join the magnificent bowl. Together we will be joined by what we love the most, the broth. The broth is the anime, everything we want to talk about. If you are not subject, please do. You'll see more videos go up whenever they go up. I am likely to do some stuff with other YouTubers. That's all gonna be gameplay stuff, so nothing Moriarty related there, but again, there could be if you guys pester me enough to do that. The morality chart channel schedule in case you guys are joining and are new. Sunday, Monday, we talk about Moriarty the Patriot. Monday, we talk about Golden Kamui, that is season 3, so if you are watching season 3, come ahead and join us. Those tend to be a lot more comic. We don't go into the depth we do with Moriarty. It's fun, it's cool. Normally there's a lot of jokes going around and we get to shout things out, which is hilariously funny. To be fair, last week did get a little bit grim as we dealt with some of the more realistic aspects of the Russo-Japanese War. Wednesday morning, we have Ikeburo Westgate Park. If you are following those, that is the video in question that has got the downvotes, so I need to see what went wrong there. So hopefully I can fix that, because I am enjoying that one, so I don't exactly want to know that I'm upsetting people. Wednesday afternoon, generally nighttime quite early, is No Bleeze, the one which I thought would be going, but it's slowly fighting its way to stay in the release schedule. Friday is Journey of Elena, the one which I thought would be the issues, but somehow it's the other anime. That is the release schedule so far. At some point, maybe later this week or next week, you are going to see some uploads if you are a subscriber. It will be me recording games and gameplay with some other YouTubers where we discuss just random stuff, which will be fun. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you're all doing well. I had absolute fun. This episode was explosively fantastic. Loved it to bits. And I hope you guys will join me next week on Monday. See you again. Bye-bye, guys.